Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles. She didn't really care to sit in this video, but she did send this story to me this morning that IDW Publishing, IDW Media Holdings, IDW Games, whatever you want to call them, they're getting out of tabletop games. Now, this is really interesting because IDW has been hemorrhaging money for years, and they keep trying to hold out for some Hollywood deal or Netflix deal or something, and they've had some deals, and they haven't really gone as well as I think the companies hoped for. And just in the last 2 or 3 years, they've lost millions and millions of dollars. But the one bright spot they had, or at least I thought they had, was tabletop gaming. It seemed like they were doing really well with tabletop, and now they're cutting their losses and getting out of it. So this is really interesting. Gonna talk about that. Before I get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 233,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. We do talk about tabletop games sometimes. We talk about comics, talk about pop culture, whatever interests us that day. And this is very interesting because we've been watching IDW. Disclaimer, I used to freelance for IDW on some of their Disney books, and I never had a bad experience with them. I never had a bad experience with anybody I worked with over there. But most of the people I worked with over there are no longer there. Everybody's jumping ship. And also going back to like 2013, 2014, I had a very hard time getting paid. So I suspect they were having financial problems even that many years ago. That is just finally caught up with them. That would just be my guess. Again, nothing personal against any of the people that work there. A lot of them did move on to other things, but I did have a hard time getting paid. I know I had to chase them for 4 or 5 months for a couple of covers one time, which I thought was kind of crazy. I'm like, how many invoices do I gotta send you guys? Anyway, just this year, IDW Publishing loses $508,000 in June. This is January. IDW Publishing sales decline, swings to loss. They're losing millions and millions and millions of dollars, and people are telling them to sell. They're reorganizing all the damn time. They're trying to find something that sticks, that makes them work, and they basically want to do everything but comic books. IDW started out as a comic book publisher, and they don't really have a lot of original IP. I mean, they have a couple of things, but for the most part, they've made their mark doing licensed comics, like, especially the Hasbro stuff, Transformers and G.I. Joe and My Little Pony. And more recently, they picked up Sonic the Hedgehog. So they've been known as, a publisher of licensed comics, and some are good and some are not so good, but it's been consistent. But they want to chase Hollywood. They want to be bigger than just a comic book publisher. And it seems like they're burning everything else down to chase this dream, which I don't think is very attainable. I mean, IDW could sell tomorrow, and I don't know what you're buying exactly. A handful of IP that they have, like Lock and Key, and mostly it's just they have licenses for other people's stuff. So a lot of tactical errors. But again, the one bright spot was tabletop. And apparently that's not working out so well for them. So this is coming from comicbook.com. We're also going to go out to a site called Dicebreaker, which is about tabletop games. Said that IDW has shuttered its tabletop gaming division due to rising trade costs. Earlier this summer, IDW reported to its shareholders it had exited tabletop games during a quarterly report on earnings. The comics publisher and media company noted in the report they had experienced a one-time loss related to tabletop games with a write-down of various capitalized expenses. The report also noted that IDW had exited from the tabletop games publishing business. IDW Games had recently let go of several key staff members in recent months, with no replacements immediately lined up. I missed this somehow. I didn't know anything about this. This is the first I've heard about it. I knew they were losing money, but I thought they were doing fine. IDW's game imprint, IDW Games, had published a number of high-profile licensed projects, including a series of games based on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The TMNT games were campaign-style board games based off of IDW's Reboot comic series, and they raised over $1.5 million between 2 Kickstarters. How are they failing? Are they diverting that money to other stuff? IDW also published 2 board games based on Batman the Animated Series. That's money in the bank. The most recent game, Batman the Animated Series Adventures, raised over $1.6 million on Kickstarter. However, despite the success of these and other Kickstarters, there were signs IDW Games was in trouble. They had canceled several announced projects, including several Metal Gear Solid board games, a Bomberman game, and a Lock and Key game. In a statement to Dicebreaker, IDW confirmed it was winding down the tabletop game business, although IDW would complete both the Batman game and the upcoming Ghostbuster and Men in Black crossover, which sounds awesome. I didn't even know that existed. Holy shit and whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter now. I guess it's a one and done. Had no other games in active development due to rising trade costs. Please explain what that means, because I know that there are problems that some game manufacturers are having problems getting inventory, getting cards and whatnot, but it's very nebulous. Rising trade costs. Comicbook.com reached out to IDW Games for comment, but had not received a response as of press time. Yeah, because they fired everybody. The board game industry as a whole has experienced a tumultuous year due to supply chain disruptions and other rising costs because of the pandemic. One running trend within the comics industry is the rising cost of shipping and the cost of shipping from China, where many games are published. That actually is true. We talked about that in a previous video. It has increased immensely in recent months. This has led to delays or increased prices in many recent board game releases. Well, maybe you should make them in the USA. Make that stuff in the USA, and then you don't have to worry about it. Or make it in Canada or something. So yeah, this is the original article, Dicebreaker, talking about it. They said, we'll continue updating our social feeds and individual backer pages with the latest information on our upcoming releases. We'd like to thank our fans for support through the year, for building an active community with countless hours of gameplay and fun. We're excited to bring you some of the best work we've done over the next few months. So here's the thing. This feels like a company winding down. This really feels like a company winding down and trying to get back to whatever its core business strategy is, which at this point is basically, we've got IP we want to whore out to Hollywood. I could be wrong, but I think we're getting to the end of the line with IDW. I think what could potentially happen is they just it's kind of like when a body dies, not to be morbid, but they talk about this, hospice nurses talk about this, that you can see the body sort of switching off the lights on certain organs and certain systems and then closing the door behind it to get ready to shut down. And that's kind of what this feels like. This feels like IDW is like, yep, you know what? We tried to do the Hollywood thing. That's the only thing that was really going to save us. So let's just start, closing off. Let's not commit to any more games because we know the end is near and we do not want to have to be like, well, we got to fulfill this Kickstarter and we don't know if we're going to be in business for the next 2 years. I don't know. Just the feeling I'm getting. I mean, you cannot lose money quarter after quarter, year after year, the way that IDW has and stay in business. So very interesting. We're going to keep an eye on this situation. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.